Hey comic book fans, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. And fans, you're back with me, Mike Spider Slayer, getting ready to do the countdown, episode number 126. That's right, guys. And if you're unfamiliar with the countdown, this is the video series where me, Mike Spider Slayer, counts down his favorite comics all the way from his least favorite and goes all the way to that number one pick. And guys, just wanted to let you know that it is a big week this week. We had a total of 25 comics to talk about. So I can't go into too much depth with some of these books just so the video stays within an hour or so. So with that being said, let's go ahead. Let's get started with this week's countdown. Here we go now, guys. All right, so we start off with that worst pick of the week. Wit is so bad that it scraped the bottom of the barrel, because when you have 25 comics and this is your worst pick, you know it's got to be kind of bad. Well, first off, it's got to go to Gwenpool Holiday Special. This was a book where I had a gut feeling that I was not going to like this, and my gut feeling was correct. I didn't like it. It was a mishmash with different stories. Gwenpool was hardly in the issue whatsoever. When you see her in the book, she actually looks cute. It is a cute little story where she deals with an actual swordsman character, and the artwork in that particular story was actually pretty cool. But besides that, in the story, that was the only thing that was good about it. The rest of it had to do with She-Hulk. And the artwork was just, for me, it didn't work. And I was very disappointed. And this was written by Charles Soule. And if you remember, Charles Soule was the one that wrote the She-Hulk story that got canceled recently. So, and this was $6. So this is a hefty price point for a comic book. And I definitely would not suggest this if you missed it. If you want to read it digitally, find it digitally somewhere. But it's just not worth your hard-earned cash here. So after reading this one, I gave this one 1 star. All right. Next, we go on to a book that's a digital comic. I don't have it on me, but that book is actually Green Arrow, issue number 47. I just not have been a fan of this series since its creative team. I do not like this current story arc with these bone characters. And it looks like we got the leader who was killed in this issue. And you got to see kind of an origin story of who he was and where he came from and why he does what he does, which is kind of good. But then it just abruptly ended. And it was like Tarantula was like, "Oh, do you forgive me, Green Arrow?" It just ended, and it was so generic, and I just did not like the issue. And right now, I'm not currently picking it up. I'm actually reading it digitally, so it's not completely off my radar, because I'm in hopes for it to get good. Eventually, maybe it will make that cut to me picking it up physically again. So after reading that one, 1.5 out of 5 stars for me. All right, the next book we're talking about is that Scarlet Witch issue number 1, guys. If you know me by now, I've been doing these YouTube videos for a very long time. And if you've been following me, you know I'm not a fan of magic type of books. But I always give them a try to see if they actually surprise me. And Doctor Strange was one where I liked the issue. I liked the concept, but it wasn't my style. In this particular issue, it's kind of the same thing. However, the artwork does not work for me. I get where they're going with the tone, where it has to do with, darkness and magic and everything else in here. But this just didn't work for me. It's good in its own story, and the artwork is very creative and it's artistic, has this painting style. Here reminds me of Jessica Jones. I said this in my haul video. It's got that same style there. However, this book is not for me, and I wasn't really interested in Wanda being in her own series, being a detective, this supernatural-like detective, and she goes and she does this exorcism in the actual issue, and it's just, I don't know. For me, it's just too much of a stretch for her being on her own and not being that Avenger. And I just think there's too many characters that are getting their own individual titles when it comes to Marvel. Characters that don't really need them, that have always been teamed based in the past. So this is one of those ones where I'm not going to continue going forward. So Scarlet Witch issue number 1 for me gets 2 stars, but again, it's just not my cup of tea really in anything. All right, so next we go on to number 22. And number 22 goes to Ninjak, issue number 10. Again, it's like almost a deja vu of Scarlet Witch here. Ninjak, the last story arc, was really good. It made me pick it up. I enjoyed it immensely. However, when it comes to this particular story arc, I wasn't too much involved, as it had to do with this, again, this type of magical creature that Ninjak has to go and defeat, and he has this mission that he has to go to this place called Deadside, where he gets transported by one of his companions. He wears this crazy armor, and I just didn't get anything out of this one. I was bored to death, and I'm just, again, right away, when it comes to picking up titles, if they're not going to please me, I'm going to drop them, and I'm going to drop this physically, possibly read it digitally. So this is one of those ones where it's just not going to make the cut this time around, and Ninjak issue number 10 gets 2.25 out of 5 stars this week. So yeah, it's a heavy week, so books here are going to start making some cuts, past issue 4. If they're not going to really, again, please me, I'm going to start dropping them, because I can't keep buying 25 titles every week. All right, so next we go on to number 21, and number 21 goes to the Uncanny Avengers issue number 3. I've been kind of disappointed with this series a little bit. I've been expecting some greater things from this, and it seemed very, again, generic. And with Uncanny Avengers, it has Cable making his appearance here and trying to fix what happens in the future to Earth when it comes to this vegetation that is taking over the world. And so Cable tries to stop him. He tries to take the lead over everybody. There are some okay character moments, some decent artwork pages in here with Cable, but again, there was nothing here that really blew my socks off. You get to see a little bit of character development when it comes to this Snaps character, where she actually goes out and she tries to go after the Shredded Man, which this was pretty cool here. However, this is a typical Star Wars moment, and she goes, "You don't recognize me? I am your grandfather." So it's a typical Star Wars moment there. It kind of almost looks like Emperor Palpatine, and I was just kind of laughing. I was just like, really? This is the great cliffhanger here. We get a character that we don't know that much of, and a villain that we don't know that much of, and it's supposed to be this huge cliffhanger. Yeah, no, it didn't work so much for me. So Uncanny Avengers gets 2.75 out of 5 stars. All right, next we go on to number 20. And number 20, this one cracks it right here, and this is Batman and Robin Eternal issue number 10. I think I told you guys last week, I'm kind of just almost going through the motions with this right now. It's lost its punch for me. I don't find myself excited as much as I was, and when a book doesn't excite me, I get bored with it, and it just becomes a challenge for me to read. And I feel like that we're kind of on some. It's just not as intriguing as it once was. The characters are all over the place, but it was still okay. I mean, the artwork was solid. We get Azrael fighting Tim Drake and Jason Todd and Bane as they team up. But we find out that Azrael has this crazy power where it looks like he influences people, or he messes them up, or whatever the case may be on here. And we get to see this battle between these guys, these characters, throughout the entire issue. We find out that Jason Todd and Tim Drake find some information out about these about who Azrael actually is. We see Tim Drake get pretty mentally damaged through Azrael in this issue, and then by the time we get to the end of this this whole ordeal, what happens is we find out that the sculptor makes her appearance in the series as well. So again, I just feel like the pace has slowed down a lot here. They're dragging on certain elements of the story. If you're a Batman fan, I think you're going to really like this. I like Batman, but I'm not hardcore Batman. I'm still trying to read a lot of the Batman stories from the past. But nevertheless, I mean, it was an okay issue for me. I gave it 3 stars. However, going forward, I will be reading this digitally, will not be picking it up anymore. Just because, again, guys, I got to make cuts, and I can buy 4 comics a month, different comics a month, than just spending money on this 4 times a month. So financially, it makes more sense. So, but I'll still read it digitally and still follow the story. Again, I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. All right, next we go on to number 19, and number 19 is another digital book, and that goes on to Contest of Champions, issue number 3. I wanted to pick this book up physically, however, I had 20-something books on my pull list this week, and it was one of those weeks where I just couldn't, but I read it digitally, and I thought that the book was okay, but again, it's no real solid story. It's just, hey, we're going to battle. We're going to summon our team, and we're going to battle these different types of characters in these multiverses. And, you wind up getting to see like a Rick Jones Hulk in this one where he's like really stupid. And you wind up seeing a little bit more of an origin tale of the Guillotine character who was created for Contest of Champions comic book, which I thought was really cool. And but there was no real great story here. There's a mystery going on with Maestro, and that's really about it. The artwork is really solid, though, by Paco Mandina, and the colors really make the issue pop. However, it's one of those books that you don't have to really pick up. So, again, after reading this one, I give this one a 3 out of 5 stars. Again, guys, there was a lot of books, and none of these books out there this week really wanted to stand out and take that number 1 spot. It took so many books to get to that point, and I was just like, wow, no book wants to stand out there this week. I don't know what it was. All right, so next goes on to another digital book that I read, and this was the Justice League Darkseid War tie-in, the Lex Luthor issue number 1. This one had to do with Lex Luthor, and he is trying to handle the Omega power, and we get to see him being counseled, I forgot, by the female, trying to get him to channel this power, how to control it, and things like that. And basically, it's him and this woman just talking, and he's hanging off a ledge, and I was just like, yeah, okay, that's pretty badass right there. But at the end, you wind up seeing him control his power, and it looks like he's becoming the next true, I guess, Darkseid here. So you're going to get Lexide, I guess that's what you're going to call him. It's a pretty interesting issue. Nice, pretty artwork, and I forgot my tablet to show you that artwork, so I'm a little pissed off at that right now. But yeah, so it was one of those things that I liked it, but again, it's one of those books that you don't have to buy, okay, to really get what was going on in the whole Darkseid story. All right, so next we go on to, let's see, number 17, and number 17 this week, guys, goes to Batman, a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue number 1. That's right, guys. This book was good. It was solid. It introduces Batman and Turtles together. However, if you're not a fan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or don't know that much about them, you're going to be like, okay, well, what's the big deal? Why does Batman have to, meet the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? But if you're a fan of both, you might think that it's kind of cool. So in this issue, you wind up seeing the turtles somehow get transported here, and and you find out that Batman is actually on the doing his detective work. He finds out information that these turtles are here, and he's searching for them, and you wind up seeing them, I guess, go into these science labs and things like that. And it was an okay issue. You wind up seeing Batman and I guess the turtles interact, I guess, at the very end. You do see Batman meet up with Shredder in the issue. The character moments weren't great. There was very few in here. There was an issue with the turtles, I guess, interacting with Killer Croc, which I thought was okay. But overall, I mean, it was an okay issue. It's just like, oh, look, I'm Batman and I'm the Turtle. So it was okay. I mean, it's good, but it wasn't, again, great out of all the comics out there this week. So Batman and TMNT gets a 3.25 out of 5 stars for me. All right. Let's see, real quick. I want to see if I can pick up an issue that I'm trying to see if I can get, so I can show you guys. That's going to come up soon. All right, number 16 goes to one of the Robin War tie-ins, and this is Red Hood and Arsenal issue number 7. This is a pretty good book. I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I thought it stood out. It was better than I anticipated it. When it comes to the Robin War aspect of things, I didn't think it was that great of a tie-in. However, it was a good Joker's daughter story as she is working with the Red Hood and Arsenal, and you find out that in this issue that she's really mentally unstable, and she kind of wants to do the right thing in the series, in the book, but she can't. She's just mentally unstable, and we find out that Red Hood is just, he kind of feels sorry for her, and in the book it references the Robins. However, it's just one of those things that none of the characters really from Robin War in the story. You get to see some generic villains show up in the book. You wind up seeing some lava creatures show up in the book and whatnot. But again, this was a type of style of book where it made you kind of feel for the Joker's daughter and what she goes through and how maybe she might actually join this team permanently. So we'll see where that goes. So at least it gave depth to a character here. There was some kind of character development. My hat's off to that for doing that. So, but as a tie-in issue, you don't have to read this at all. And so I gave this one, again, 3.5 out of 5 stars. All right, so next we go on to number 15, and number 15 was We Stand on Guard, the conclusion issue. This is a series that I thought that could have been a good ongoing series, or maybe had some more parts in it. I would have loved to have seen that, because in this, it just seemed like it just kind of ended. And you just get to see guys that were doing battle in their ships and things like that. And they're trying to preserve the reservoir that's going to Canada. And you wind up seeing the good interaction here between the American bitch, who you find out was from Canada, and Amber here, who basically in the end, after a lot of dialogue and talking about why this war was started, and she blames the Canadians for why this war was started, we wind up seeing that Amber winds up sacrificing herself, and she blows up the American warship, and it winds up blowing up. It pollutes the reservoir and whatnot, and then what happens is the Americans wind up retreating, and that's the end of the war, and that's the end of the comic book. So the main character sacrifices herself, and then that was pretty much it. So I was like, oh, really? That's it? I was a little bit disappointed. I wasn't sure how they were going to end this, because I really felt that this could have been a longer story. I would love to see Brian K. Vaughan take his time with this, tell a real in good depth story here, maybe 12 issues, tell the story he really wanted, show all the details here. I think there was a lot of missing gaps that could have been told. So after reading this one, I feel that let's see what I gave this one. After reading this one, I gave this one 3.5 out of 5 stars. All right, so I'm trying to find that comic book that I should have had prepared, and hopefully I can get it for you guys because I wanted to show it to you. It's a little bit further down on the list, so hopefully I can get it. All right, as it loads. All right, next we go on to number 14, and number 14 goes to Gotham Academy, issue number 13. This is another Robin War tie-in. I tell you what, if you weren't sick of Batman and Robin this week, well, this is the week that it was going to happen. So in this issue, we find out that Rico, now this ties in a little bit more. Rico from the actual We Are Robin series winds up making her appearance over in Gotham Academy. So you wind up getting to see her appearance. And we find out that Maps has her, makes her appearance, and she loves her actually. And she wants to kind of be like her. And I always said in this Gotham Academy series that Maps would be a great Robin because she's always investigating. She's a great detective. She's always really eager. And she seems like that perfect sidekick to Olive. And that's what I really love about her. We get the traditional map here of them trying to solve crime and what's happening in the series. And we get to see that the artist has changed in this book. We see the colors are a little bit different, but it's very similar to how the artwork was. And I enjoyed it. I actually liked it. Some people might like it better. But we get to see this mission that was going on, very traditional like mission. But this book really had to do with Rico and her being a Robin here in Gotham Academy. Olive doesn't want Maps getting in danger, so she winds up calling the police and has her arrested. And she did it for Maps' sake because she didn't want Maps going down that actual path. So I thought it was a pretty cool issue. Not bad read at all. I actually gave this one 3.5 out of 5 stars. Again, 3.5 out of 5 stars. That's where a lot of these books fall, right in the middle ground for me. All right, next we go on to, let's see if that comic got loaded yet. Hold on one second, guys. Thanks for bearing with me. All right, next we go on to number 13. And number 13 goes to Spider-Man 2099, issue number 4. That's right, guys. This book was good. It actually had a lot to do with Roberta Mendez in this issue, which was the Captain America from 2099. So if you guys read Secret Wars 2099, you're going to know who she is. In this issue, this is her... this is kind of like her real introduction on the type of character, how she is, how her stronger self talks to her weaker self or whatnot. And we get to see this miscellaneous character from 2099 knows that there's a portal there, and he's waiting for it to open up. So he's waiting for that portal to open up, and then in the meantime, we find out that Roberta Mendez is just kind of anxiously trying to find out what's going on in the basement below where Miguel O'Hara actually comes from. So after some snooping around and Captain America talking with her throughout the entire issue, she finds out that there is this secret lab, and there's this access point to get to this portal, and only someone from 2099 can do it. So she is from 2099. Miguel finds out what's going on. You get to see this battle between this character. She bulks up like a bodybuilder. Miguel O'Hara is like, who the hell are you? You're like freaking super buff. And this 2099 villain winds up escaping the clutches from the good guys. And so in the end, he's free in the normal everyday universe. So who is this character? I don't know. Pretty good interactions between 2099 and Captain America 2099. I thought it was pretty neat. They get to actually meet each other and fight together for the first time. It looks like she's going to be a supporting character going forward with this series. However, you never know. She could find her way back to 2099 and and just stay there, or she could bring some of her other people back as well. So you never know with this series, but it was a pretty good. It was action packed, but still it's lacking what it had from that first issue, that real emotion. And in this issue, it was just pretty much fighting and really no emotion. So that's why it fell a little bit lower on the list this time. 3.5 out of 5 stars. All right, next we go on to number. Next we go on to number 12, and number 12 goes to Star Wars Annual, issue number 1. Kind of curious what they were going to do with this annual, since all their series are really going on. You got Vader Down going, so how are they going to do annual with this? Well, you stick in the Emperor and some miscellaneous guy. That's what was going on with this issue. It's a rebel spy by the name of Eneb Ray. This is a book that I felt was not really necessary to buy. You don't have to buy it. It doesn't tie into any story. So if you're looking to save some money, don't purchase this one. It was $5. It was about a rebel spy who thought he could take on the Emperor. Yeah, what a fool. He convinces Princess Leia to say, hey, I have this opportunity to take on the Emperor. He's coming here. They were trying to rescue some senators. And right when you think that, this rebel spy is in control, we find out that the Emperor actually sends this decoy out. And it's not really him. He was just waiting in the Imperial shuttle. And what happens is at a last-ditch attempt, this rebel spy winds up going onto the Imperial shuttle, and he winds up grabbing on, and he blows up the temple that they were on in Coruscant. The senators wind up dying. The stormtroopers wind up dying. And this guy realizes that he was a complete fool for doing what he did. That's the end of the story. It was okay. It was entertaining. It was action-packed. The artwork was pretty good. They did a good job with this character, but this is a throwaway book and a throwaway character. So nothing really here that, again, is really worth your money, just if you're a hardcore Star Wars fan and you really want to read it. So after reading this one, you probably guessed it, 3.5 out of 5 stars. All right, next we go on to number 11. Number 11 goes to Deadpool issue number 3. We're still trying to find out the mystery here of who this mysterious Deadpool is that's kind of acting as Deadpool. He's playing mind games with Deadpool. Deadpool feels like he's getting soft. He came up and joined the Uncanny Avengers. He has his mercs for money type of outfit. We find out that the other Deadpools are not getting paid. And so they're kind of on strike about all kinds of things. The artwork continues to be pretty solid in here. Nice colors. This is an entertaining book. However, I felt like it's dropped off since that first and second issue a little bit. But still, it's very mysterious because you're trying to figure out who this guy actually is that's posing as Deadpool. And you get to see Wade Wilson realizing that, hey, maybe I am soft. Maybe I was better when I had that crazy voice in my head. So, and here's that mysterious Deadpool there. You only get to see like an eyeball of him. So who is he actually? So, not sure. So, after reading this one, I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. All right. Next, we go on to number 10. So we're in the top 10 now. And this is a book that was in my top 5 last time, but it has dropped a few spots. And that's Black Knight, issue number 2. Now, this book, it became Marvel for me. It's like, I liked it when it had its independent feel and there was no like real Marvel characters. You got introduced to a few new characters in here. But at the end of the last issue, you wind up seeing that the Uncanny Avengers make their appearance here. So in this issue, you wind up getting to see what happens with the Uncanny Avengers and Black Knight from the beginning. You get to see him work together months ago on him, exploring the Ebony Blade, how it could be possibly possessing him and whatnot. And you just wind up seeing this battle. That's pretty much what it was. All this was really fighting. And this was seeing how much, again, that Blade has possessed him over the months in this particular issue. That's really what it was, and how much rage he actually has, and they can't believe how he can kill people and whatnot. So, and again, the Uncanny Avengers are after him, and it looks like, you know, right when you think he's actually trapped, that he sends in his whole entire army. So that's where it was. It wasn't really too much in-depth story. It was just like, oh, I was with the Uncanny Avengers in the past, and now I'm with them. This is what's going on now. But it didn't give you a real in-depth story of him. Just showed his rage and how this Blade is slowly possessing, which I'm very curious to see. But I thought they could have done a little bit more, a better job with Dane Whitman on trying to explore his character a little bit better before going into all this Uncanny Avengers stuff. So after reading this one, I gave this one 3.5 out of 5 stars. All right, next we're going to go on to issue number 9. And number 9, fans, goes to Robin War Part 3. That's right, fans. Detective Comics issue number 47. It's a pretty good issue. I thought that this was one of the better ones in here because of the comedic performance of Harvey Bullock in here. You get to see how the generation also of Batman and Grayson has evolved. You know, obviously we all know where Grayson comes from. We know how many different Batmans there were in different situations here, and we get to see all these, you know, Robins locked up in the actual issue. We get to see Rico in here from the tie-in, and they reference the Gotham Academy tie-in. You get to see her that she was arrested, so there was your tie-in from Gotham Academy in there. And we wound up seeing that Damian wants to break out of the place. Harvey, again, was really funny because he wants to smoke, but he can't smoke because the whole place will blow up if he smokes. So I thought that was kind of funny in here. Robo Bunny Batman, again, makes his appearance, and him and Grayson fight, but they come to a conclusion that they need to work together to solve this crime. They're two detectives. They have an idea of who's committing the crime now, and you wind up seeing them get together and work together in this issue. And I thought that was pretty neat, you know. At the end, you're like, oh yeah, hey, happy-go-lucky thing. But again, it's an evolution of the characters, and that's what you get to see here. So I liked it, and then you wind up getting to see the Court of Owls and some Talons at the end as well. So okay, issue was good. It was one of the better ones for the Robin War stuff, and so I gave this one 3 3/4 out of 5 stars. All right. So next we go on to number 8, and number 8 goes to The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 4. We get to see the continuation of S.H.I.E.L.D. trying to capture this Zodiac gang, but I think this Zodiac gang is a group of characters that's just slightly pushing the story forward until we get to the main bad guys in this series. This book had to deal with Spidey working with Mockingbird to try to stop Zodiac Gang until he gets a distress call that his Aunt May and his stepdad, J. Jonah Sr., is in trouble by the War Goblins. So I thought, wow, that was pretty cool. But at first I thought it was the original Green Goblin. So you wind up seeing to get to do battle against these guys. And, you know, it was cool to see Peter drop everything for his aunt. And that's what Peter Parker is about. And I really like that in this issue. These Zodiac guys are just, they're crazy. Maybe I can't connect with them too much because mine is Aquarius and it's a female, you know, so, but some of these guys are weird and crazy in their own way. But there was a lot of fighting going on with these Goblin War guys. It was cool to see Mockingbird in here. She's got this new Sam Wilson-like powers where she can fly, which I thought was kind of cool. You get to see Spidey do his more web cartridge 6 type of thing. I really like that aspect. But at the end, we get to see another villain, former villain of Spider-Man's, being released from prison, and looks like he's being brainwashed by somebody to do his bidding. because you can see there he's snapping. So what's that mean? So who's the mysterious villain? Why is he gathering all these other villains? And when is this story going to take place? Because that's the one I'm really looking forward to. But after reading this one, I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. Solid book. All right, now we go on to number 7, and this is issue 7 of Starfire. This book was good. Once again, we get Grayson in the book, so we got a lot of Robin stuff going on this week. But it was cool. You get to see in this book Corey kind of go out on this date with Soul. You get to see their relationship developing here. Really love the dialogue in this issue. Again, if you have watch Teen Titans, you know how she talks, so right away the dialogue is just like how you expect it in this type of series, which I thought was really neat. And you wind up seeing Grayson. He makes his appearance in town as he has to go after this particular briefcase. So he dresses up as like this old guy. And, you find out that Corey and Grayson wind up getting reunited because she wants to help him stop these bad guys in here, which I thought was pretty neat as well. And, you get to see the type of relationship that they really had because they were, boyfriend, girlfriend, or they were, they loved each other. And when she saw him, she was so happy to actually see him. And it's kind of like, man, that's kind of a slap in the face to Mr. Soul over there, They were just kissing on the boat, and then the next thing you find out is that, they're doing their little mission together and whatnot. And you wind up finding out that Corey kind of saves the day. She destroys the evidence that's in the briefcase so it doesn't get into the wrong hands. The coloring in this book is absolutely gorgeous. They make Starfire sexy yet classy, where she looked like Horse in her last series where it was, Red Hood and the Outlaws. Again, here she's classy. And you wind up seeing that she's hooking up with Dick Grayson again. So, really, really interesting to see where that's going to go. If Soul's going to be left in the dust or if Grayson and her are going to get back together. It's just hard because Grayson is in so many books right now. We don't know what continuity. There is no continuity in the DC universe. Everyone's just spread out everywhere. It's kind of like choose your own adventure, whatever you want to read type of thing. But the emotion that was here with Corey to see Grayson back and how she thought he was dead, it was really emotional, and I like that. And this is one of those books out there this week. There was very few that really grabbed you emotionally wise, but this one was. And this is a great series, and I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. All right, next we go forward, and we go on to number 6. And once again, we're going to talk about probably the best book when it came to Robin War this week, and it was Robin War Part 2, Grayson, issue number 15. In this book, you wind up getting to see our Robins that we know every day and meet with all the other Robins in the issue and saying, hey, it's time to go to Robin school. And you get to see certain Robins team up with other Robin characters and training them. So you get to see Damian team up with it wasn't Duke. I think you saw Grayson team up with Duke. Tim Drake teams up with another guy. And you wind up seeing Damian team up with some. So there were some standouts that they all teamed up with, which was kind of cool to see them actually going through this training. So that was really neat to see. And that's what I liked about the book. I liked this aspect of it a lot when they were training. Then Batman makes his appearance, and it kind of brought the book down again. But you find out Grayson did this whole setup to have the police arrest all the Robins until he felt the time was right to pick the right ones. But he actually realized that Duke is the one here. He's the one that's the standout out of everybody to be that next Robin. He's a natural leader. So I thought that was cool in that way. But then at the end, you get to see the court of the owl. He just sits there and he goes, he goes, good, just as we taught you. Oh, take care of your family, Nightwing. Always take care of your family, and we will always take care of you. So I just like that ending with this courtier just watching in the shadows, and I like that. So I love the ending. The middle was okay, and then the beginning was really good. So after reading that one, I gave that one 4.25 out of 5 stars. Just missed my top 5. All right, so here we go. Top 5, finally making it there to the number 1 book. So number 5 this week, guys, goes to Guardians of the Galaxy, issue number 3. Really like this book. When I do the countdown, I modify star ratings to fit the countdown a little bit and reposition certain things after I've read all the books. And originally I had this at a little higher, but when I read the couple of books that I liked story-wise better, I kind of dropped the rating down. But still, it was still a really good book. It's 4.25 out of 5 stars. I think Brian Michael Bendis is doing a really nice job with Guardians of the Galaxy, and really puts characters in certain positions, like Star-Lord being in control of Spartax. You get to see Kitty Pryde being engaged to him and whatnot, and I really like that. And in this book, we get to see this Hala, this Kree warrior, the last of the Hala the Conqueror, and she really wants to torture Peter Quill because she blames him for destroying up the Kree's planet. And so she sticks him in a castle right above Spartax, and she wants to witness the destruction of the planet. And she's single-handedly destroying this planet. I mean, she is tearing it to pieces. And I was like, damn, the artwork is absolutely gorgeous. The facial expressions are priceless. And you can see it with her eyes and how much anger and frustration that she's going through. Kitty Pryde in this book was absolutely perfect in this book. She's a natural-born leader. What's his face? Rocket Raccoon thinks he's the leader of this group, but you can see who's taking the lead here. And Kitty Pryde's like, okay, Rocket, you do what you got to do. You're the leader there, buddy. And but she's protecting everybody and trying to keep everyone safe and guide everyone in the right direction. We get to see Gamora, all beat up, try to sacrifice herself by going against the cosmic being of Hala, and it's an epic fail. She falls to the ground and just plummets, and the Hala is just sitting there going, what do you think of your cosmic being? She's failed you again. But it was all this stall time, so Kitty could get Peter out of that capsule, and they succeeded, and the frustration and the anger on her face was just like, oh my God, that is crazy right there. And it had just ended, and I was like, man, she is pissed off. And I really loved this issue. This was a great book, and I just for some reason, it just really captures me. And I liked it so much better than the last volume because it's not tied into anything. It's not tied into the X-Men books. There's no events going on. It's just a really good story, and it's action-packed, and I love it. And I love the humor in the book as well. So, again, after reading that one, I gave Guardians number 3 4.25 out of 5 stars. All right, next we go on to number 4. Number 4 goes on to Batman issue number 47, and this is the Alex Ross variant, black and white cover, really cool cover here. In this issue, you wind up seeing Bunny Robo Batman going after Mr. Bloom, and we get to see that he's trying to prevent his seed spreading all over Gotham City, and he finds a way out to try to defeat Mr. Bloom in this issue. And Mr. Bloom gets all weird and crazy looking too. He gets like this big gigantic plane. He's got huge feet and all kinds of stuff. And we get to see more Duke in this issue too. I mean, look at Mr. Bloom here. But somehow Batman finds a way to defeat him. These electromagnetic pulses kind of disarray his powers. He winds up going back to normal. His seeds can't spread or whatnot. And we wind up seeing Bruce coming and rescuing Duke. And Duke has a heart-to-heart with Bruce and saying, you don't see it? He's like, you can solve all these little riddles, all these little things, but you can't solve the thing that's right in front of you. And finally, Bruce has this like epiphany, and he realized that he was Batman. And it's like, oh shit, that's right. he's coming back now. So you wind up seeing that. And not only is there one Mr. Bloom in this book, but yeah, guys, just when you thought he was captured, yeah, there's a few of them. So maybe some of those seeds did spread and they are all Mr. Blooms. So very interesting stuff here. At the end of the book, there's this bench that Bruce Wayne goes to when he needs to sit and collect his thoughts. That was close to this accident close to the accident that happened. And he goes, oh yeah, I was in an accident. I always sit here. And he goes, well, funny. So was I. And the character was the Joker. And you're like, oh shit, they're side by side. Now, does the Joker realize he is the Joker and he's just fucking with Bruce Wayne? Or is it he truly has amnesia and doesn't remember, just like Bruce Wayne? So I just think that was really hysterical there. So I'll be curious to see if Joker kind of reveals himself to him. I don't know, and brings out the Batman in him. I'm not sure, but that was a cool ending, and I was like, oh, that's really awesome. So I really enjoyed this book. I really liked the writing there. I thought this was a good book. It separated the moments between Bruce and Bunny Robo Batman there. I always find the moments with Bruce Wayne more entertaining than Bunny Robo Batman to begin with. So hopefully, we get Batman back very soon. I think maybe issue 49 or 50 or something like that. All right, so now we go on to number 3. Number 3 is a book that really surprised me, and I enjoyed it immensely, even though it's been delayed, and the story seems to be all, jumbled apart, and it feels like it would read better in trade. And that is Secret Wars, issue number 8. And in this book, all hell breaks loose. Now, this should have been the epic conclusion that we've been waiting for, but we gotta go another issue, wait another 25 months for it to come out. But that was okay, because this book was really entertaining, and when I thought about it, when I was putting all these together, I had this at originally like number 5 or number 6. But when a book can make me go out there and be like, oh my god, that was insane, that was crazy, oh my god, and it makes me remember what happens, unlike the last previous issues of Secret Wars, then it's a pretty good book. Now again, the story is not as cohesive as I want it, but this was pretty cool because you wind up seeing everyone trying to take over Doom now. This is at the point where you got the 2 Reeds going to Castle Doom. You got Maestro who's trying to take over Doom, and everyone's going after Doom. Ben Grimm's going after Doom. It's just everybody, and it's just like this Godzilla war. That's what it is. All these big, gigantic, huge explosions. All this, it's like movie cinematic at its finest, But again, anybody could have done this in any type of comic book, and it doesn't make it the greatest book, but it was entertaining. But you wind up seeing Ben Grimm come face to face with Galactus, but who's controlling it is Franklin. Franklin doesn't, Ben Grimm realizes that that's not right, that Franklin is Doom's son. And so what happens, he's like, dude, do whatever you got to do. And he's like, but this doesn't feel right. And right away, Galactus just destroys Ben Grimm in one punch. It's like, oh, damn. Sue Storm and Valeria is just in awe. Valeria knows what's going on. She's just kind of like, Mom, you just got to come with me. I got to tell you the truth. I have a feeling what's going on. Dad has been lying to us. Star-Lord gets trapped into the Castle Doom, while the 2 Reeds explore the castle, and he's like, dude, I'm in some creepy castle, I'm by myself, I don't know what to do. He's got this toothpick in his mouth, and what happens? He's getting his ass beat by Black Swan, and just as he's about to die, he's like, oh, where is it? Where's his toothpick? And he winds up sticking the toothpick in the World Tree, and it winds up becoming Groot, and you're just like, and he starts growing and growing, he's like, I am Groot, and he winds up destroying the castle. And I was like, oh my god. I was laughing. That was so freaking hysterical. And then Doom finally comes out. He's just like, all right, enough of this shit. I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to destroy you. Thanos comes. He's like, enough. And he's just like, he's talking down to Doom. He's just like, you're a false god. You're nothing. He's like, I was in possession of the Infinity Gauntlet. I was a god, and today I'm still a great tyrant. And then he just sits there and he goes, he just takes his freaking spleen in his neck and he pulls it out of his stomach, and it just armor falls to the floor just in one punch. And he goes, well, that appears untrue. And he just throws his bones to the floor. And I was like, oh my God, that's insane. Then all of a sudden the portal comes open, and the next thing we see is Doom is in shock as his zombies are coming after him. And the next person that pops through is Black Panther and Namor, but somehow they got the Infinity Gauntlet. And it's like, uh-oh, now shit's getting real. So I was like, wow, that's getting crazy right there. So very explosive issue, over the top like you would expect in this issue because this was supposed to be the ending. However, it can't get number 1. It can't even get number 2 because it's just a book that's been plagued by delays, and people are upset with it because it doesn't fall in line with when the all new, different Marvel got released, and it really takes away a lot of out of people's sales when it came to this. But I feel like this should have been released in trade to begin with. I would have really loved to seen that. Just not even come out with issues. Write your story, tell how you want to tell it, release it in trade form right off from the start. I think that would have been the best. And then this way, anyone could have read it and take it for its own story. So after reading this one, though, I did, as a single issue, I give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. A lot of fun. All right, so now we go on to the number 2 book of the week. And number 2, it goes to a new book by Image Comics. It's actually done by Ed Brisson and Adam Gorin and Michael Garland, and it's called The Violent. That's right, guys. This book was a really good book about, a couple who is trying to get straight in normal everyday life. There's this one gentleman, I'm trying to remember the guy's name, Mason, who just got out of jail. He was in jail a year. He's done drugs. He's done all kinds of things. He's getting his life together. He was just trying to have a smoke. His wife is on his case, trying to, say, "Gotta get inside. You can't leave your daughter alone. You can't do this. You can't do that." And he's like, "Shit, start nagging me." And really what it is both these couples had their problems, and they're just trying to walk the good line, but they all have these impulses, these urges to do bad things, and you get to see the struggles here. But again, they have this little girl that they're trying to raise, and the artwork was really well done in this book, and we get to see Mason. He works for this moving company. His wife tells him to go to the store to get milk and bread. He goes, instead of trying to pay for it, he actually thieves the stuff. He takes it. And then he punches out the clerk when the clerk finds him, and then he just drops it. He's like, "I can't do that. That's the wrong thing." His wife has got to go to work. She works overnight for a house cleaning service. And, she runs into a drug dealer in the issue as well. And he's trying to push drugs on her. And she's like, "You're an asshole. I'm trying to get clean. Don't leave me like that shit." You find out that her paycheck is delayed. It doesn't have all its money on it. She doesn't know how she's going to pay rent. So she's going through the everyday struggles. She's crying. She's trying to, she's so pissed off that she looks at the drugs that was given to her. She's, on the verge of possibly using drugs again. And then you get to see Mason, the main character, trying to use his, he's trying to be good. He's trying to help a friend of his that was inmate as well. His wife just left him. He's drinking at a bar. His friend called him to actually go pick him up, and so he goes. He takes his daughter with him, and the freaking idiot sits there and he leaves his daughter in the actual car. And he's trying to talk to his buddy. He's like, "Come with me. Come on. My daughter's in the car. I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta go." And he's like, "Have a pint with me." He's like, "Fine. I'll have one freaking beer." So he drinks one beer, and he finds out that the police found out who he was because they ran his tags. They found out that his daughter was in the car, and they're going to arrest him, and he's going back in jail. So they took his daughter because he was trying to help a friend, and he drank one beer. But when you're an ex-con, you're going to get thrown right back to jail for doing something like that. And I thought this was a very realistic book. I think this really shows people what, ex-cons actually go through, where they had their struggles with drugs or drinking and they're trying to walk that straight line and people don't trust them. They turn a blind eye to them. So really good book, very well written, and I will be picking this up physically when it comes out. I gave this one a 4 3/4 out of 5 stars. All right, next we go on to number one, and number one book was the book that has probably the best writing in it for the week, and that goes on to The Walking Dead, issue number 149, one away from 150. If you're a Walking Dead fan, you're going to love this book because you thought that Negan was going to team up with Rick. Well, that wasn't the case in this book at all. However, Rick does ask for his advice. He has got no one to turn to, no one to look to for advice to help him, to guide him in that right direction. So it's like the devil on his shoulder, I got to sit there and he's going to influence me. So we get to see Dwight is the ex-right-hand man of Negan. He feels that he can't lead his group of saviors anymore. He turned good. He doesn't know what to do anymore. He feels lost. And so what happens in the issue is he winds up leaving. Negan actually talks with Rick, and the dialogue in this book is absolutely hysterical. Rick is always on the fence about, should I talk to him, shouldn't I talk to him? And whenever Negan gets sarcastic, he's like, screw this, I'm leaving, I should never came to you. But he's got nowhere else to go, so he talks to him. And Negan was a great leader for his community. Even though he did things his way, he kept people in line. And he told Rick, if you got to tell your people some white lies here and there to get them to get on your side once again, he's like, you got to do what you got to do. So even though I feel like Negan is not a leader of a community anymore, I feel like somehow he's going to start manipulating Rick, and he's going to lead vicariously through Rick to read the Alexandrians. Because at the end of the issue, Rick takes his advice. He goes to Eugene, and he says, you remember all those bullets that you were making to save for a war? Well, we're going to fucking war. And that's what he says. And that's something that Rick would never do. But that's something that Negan would do. Just because that's what he wants his people to say. And at the end of the issue, if you forgot what happened to Lucille, which was Negan's baseball bat, well, there it is. It's right there. And so that's the end of the actual issue. So guys, there you have it. There's the countdown for the week. You've seen the 25th worst comic, and you've seen the top comic of the week. So hopefully you guys can tell me what your favorite comics of the week were, what your least favorite was, and all that stuff in between. And fans, until the next comic book review, this is Mike Spider Slayer signing off, and this has been the Countdown, episode number 126. Thanks for watching, fans. Take care. Bye.